Oftentimes, when we are faced with a problem in real life, the source for the problem is staring right back at you every morning in the mirror. We will make excuse after excuse as to why we're not the cause of the problem, but in most cases, while we're busy making excuses, the problem continues to get worse. And it doesn't get resolved until we finally have the courage to admit we are the problem. ESPN, the NBA, they have been facing the same problem for several years now: the elimination of the casual fan. They're both in denial as to why it's happening. They continue to make excuses as to why the average American, the average NBA fan, or the average sports fan refuses to watch their product. All the while, the problem continues to stare right back at them in the mirror. We have another former ESPN employee coming out publicly and completely ripping the network to shreds. You are not likely to hear this story anywhere else. I just stumbled upon it by chance. I was doing some research this morning on Enes Kanter. He was going to be the first topic today on the channel. I opened a new tab on my browser. I was going to head over to the New York Times to pull an article when a headline in my news feed caught my attention. This headline is courtesy of Basketball Network. ESPN cheapens everything it touches. Ethan Strauss rips his former employer. My first thought was, Ethan Strauss? Who in the hell is Ethan Strauss? Where have I heard that name before? I started looking into him and it jogged my memory. Ethan Strauss now writes for The Athletic. I have actually used some of his research in the past when discussing ratings in the NBA. The dude does some good work, I have to give him credit. He is the beat reporter for the Golden State Warriors for The Athletic. He used to be the beat reporter for the Warriors at ESPN. He was actually covering the Warriors for ESPN when their dynasty began back in 2015-2016. Now, just in case you guys don't know, a beat reporter travels with the team. The reason I bring that up, when Ethan Strauss worked at ESPN, he never watched NBA games on television. He was always traveling with the Warriors. He was at the games in person. He wasn't subjected to the absolutely god-awful NBA coverage on ESPN. If you're a fan of the NBA and you weren't alive or you were too young to notice in the 1990s, I really do feel bad for you. When I was growing up, the NBA was exclusive to TNT, TBS, and NBC. Now, of course, the NBA is still on TNT now, and they do a good job covering the league. NBC did as well. You guys that were alive during the 90s, I know you remember the song NBC used when covering the NBA. That song is a classic. When you heard it, you knew you were about to watch a big game. NBC, they had Marv Albert, Ahmad Rashad, Bob Costas, Hannah Storm. It was fucking great. One thing that gets overlooked oftentimes in modern broadcasting, especially at ESPN, is the feel of a major game, the hype, the anticipation, the emotion. At the end of the day, sports are all about emotion. Hell, life is all about emotion. You take the emotion out of a sporting event, all you're left is a bunch of grown men being paid to play a game. That's it. One thing that Vince McMahon and the WWF used to do better than anyone else was make you feel, whether they made you feel angry, sad, happy, laughter. The purpose of the WWF in the mid to late 90s was to make you feel something. Of course, Vince McMahon has lost that ability today. I haven't watched the WWE in years, but from what I see online, the only thing Vince McMahon makes his audience feel today is insulted. The product is completely watered down, unrealistic, and downright embarrassing. But anyway, it is the responsibility of the NBA's broadcast partners to form an emotional attachment between the audience and the league. Now, it's not all their responsibility. The players should be doing this as well, which modern NBA players are not doing. They suck at it. We have talked before about LeBron James and go away Heat. Back in 2011, after the infamous decision, LeBron James became the most hated player in the NBA. It caused people to tune in by the millions to watch him lose. Today, people still hate LeBron James, but it's a different emotion. It's a different type of disdain. That emotion is indifference. In the entertainment industry, the last thing you want is an indifferent audience. It means they don't give a shit about you. And that's where the NBA finds themselves right now, with the casual fan indifferent about the league. LeBron James, some of the players in the league, they're to blame for this, but a large part of that blame also falls to ESPN. Ethan Strauss made this point Wednesday on the Denver Nuggets podcast. Recently, he was rewatching the 2016 NBA Finals. This was his first time watching the broadcast on television. Like I said, as the beat reporter, he was attending every game in person. While rewatching the 2016 NBA Finals, broadcast on ABC, Ethan Strauss described how the commentary made him feel. He said that he was dumbstruck. He had experienced this epic event in real life, and the commentary from Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson minimized the experience. He went so far as to claim that he felt ESPN was purposely trying to make it worse. If you've ever watched an NBA game with Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson calling it, you know exactly what he's talking about. Jeff Van Gundy spends the majority of the game bitching about the officiating, bitching about the weather, screeching with that high-pitched voice that sounds like nails on a chalkboard. Mark Jackson incoherently rambling about who fucking knows? Half the time, Mark Jackson has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And that speaks to a larger issue at ESPN. Everything feels robotic. I challenge you to try and sit through an NBA pregame show on ESPN. Inside the NBA on TNT, they receive a lot of praise, and it's well-deserved, rightfully so. When you watch the show, it feels like you're being included in a talk with the guys. It's unscripted, it's off the cuff, it's funny. More importantly, it's natural, it's organic. Now, inside the NBA, they're not nearly as good as it used to be. TNT, like most major networks, has done away with a lot of the good shit that used to be on the show in an attempt to appease the shitfucks on Twitter. But when you compare it to the garbage on ESPN and ABC, inside the NBA is great. At least they talk about the game, the players, the NBA. Over on ESPN, you have Stephen A. Smith complaining about the vaccination status of Kyrie Irving. Mike Wilbon trying desperately to be accepted into woke U. Jalen Rose crying over his divorce from the ultra-woke feminist Molly Karam. And Mike Greenberg looking dumbfounded by all the woke bullshit, questioning if he still has a place at the network. No, Mike Greenberg, you don't. It's all manufactured bullshit. It's god-awful television, and it's part of the reason, it's not the only reason, but it's part of the reason the NBA continues to struggle drawing an audience. When you watch a pregame show for the NFL, pick any network, NFL Network, NBC, Fox, CBS, it doesn't matter. When you watch a pregame show for the NFL, they spend the entire hour hyping you for the game, building the anticipation, interviewing key players so you can get to know them better, giving you background information, analyzing the game. And I'm not talking about Mina Kimes analysis, I'm talking about real analysis. They spend 60 minutes building an emotional connection between you and the league, you and the players, you and the team. Now contrast that with what we see on ESPN. Monday Night Football is absolute garbage. NBA pregame shows and a 30-minute broadcast. It's 20 minutes of commercials, a couple of highlights, and 2 minutes of scripted sound bites from these analysts who contribute nothing. Without saying it, Ethan Strauss highlighted the biggest problem at ESPN. It's something that I have been saying for 2 years about both ESPN and the NBA. Both are out of touch with their audience. As an entertainment product, that is a death sentence. It's not sustainable. I'll give you another example of how out of touch the NBA is with their audience. Earlier this week, Mark Cuban was a guest on Colin Cowherd's podcast. He was talking about the future of sports media, more specifically, how we will consume games going forward. He said something to the effect of, we can't get people to sit and watch a full 3-hour game. TikTok is the solution. TikTok is the future. We will just show them highlights instead of enticing them to watch the full game. Yeah. That is a great solution to the NBA's problem. Let's not figure out a way to grow the audience. Let's not figure out a way to entertain them. Instead, let's encourage their current behavior of not watching us by enticing them to only watch highlights. Well, KC, attention spans are short. People don't have the capability anymore to watch something for 3 straight hours. That is media bullshit. That is such media bullshit. That is an excuse. It is an excuse the media and people like Mark Cuban use to justify why the NBA can't draw an audience. Do you ever spend a Sunday afternoon binge watching your favorite show on Netflix? At times, my girlfriend, she has a short attention span. We'll be talking and she's talking about this, then that, and then she will completely forget what she was wanting to tell me to begin with. We'll just laugh together about it and then move on, and then later she'll remember what she was wanting to tell me. But I can put on Temptation Island or Bloodline or a show she likes to watch on Netflix. She will sit there silently for hours, watch every episode back to back. She doesn't have a short attention span when it comes to that. I never hear the excuse of a short attention span when talking about the NFL. During NFL season, millions of people will spend 8, 9, 10, 12 hours on a Sunday watching the NFL. The problem with the NBA, the problem with ESPN, it's not people having a short attention span. The problem is your content fucking sucks. And the bigger issue, no one seems to want to address it. The media, Mark Cuban, the NBA, they want to make excuses instead of addressing what's really going on. You are out of touch with your audience. Did people not have short attention spans back in 2011? Back then, the NBA was drawing monster ratings. It was the best ratings they had seen since Jordan. Pretty sure social media existed back then. Pretty sure YouTube, Netflix, Hulu all existed back then. People have not changed that much over the last 10 years. But over the last decade, ESPN, the NBA, they have changed. They have changed drastically. And until they are willing to look in the mirror and realize the reason no one is watching them is staring back at them, then nothing is going to change. The problem will continue. ESPN, the NBA, they will keep bleeding viewers. They will continue to make excuses when all they have to do to solve the problem, fix themselves. But let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts on Ethan Strauss, another former ESPN employee, coming out publicly and ripping the network. Also, do you agree the problem with the NBA, the problem with ESPN, is the NBA and ESPN? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.